Major General William L. Enyart and retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Berney Flowers. Gentlemen, good morning to you. Thank you for your time. And I also have Joe Khalil with me live from Dubai as well. General Enyart, if I could just start with you, because Joe and I, right off the top there, were talking about the breaking news that we just got in. Israel has confirmed that the IDF has killed Iran's intelligence minister. How much of a dent does this killing the two others that we saw yesterday actually put in cracking this regime? Because Mashtaba is still in place, and I imagine there's a multi-layered succession plan in place right now.
Well, you know, the director of intelligence serves an important role and serves a leadership role, but the folks who do the grunt work are underneath him. It's, you know, as the lieutenant colonel will tell you, it's not the generals or the defense minister who really get the work done. It's those lieutenant colonels and majors and the senior NCOs in the U.S. military, not so much in the Iranian military, but while they have taken out the top leadership, they have not taken out the rank and file that do the grunt work that has to go into the final product. So while it's certainly interrupting their chain of command, it's not in any way really destroying the organization.
Yeah, Colonel, just your reaction to that news this morning and how significant this is in the fight.
It's part of the process. The issue of the day is that there are still going to be a lot of loyalists out there that need to be dealt with. I hope the Iranian government gets control of these folks and, you know, basically offers a negotiated solution. But these people have been propagandized, and they're not going to back down easily without strong leadership. So we got to carry on the fight.
General, if I could also ask you, it was a relentless night of fighting across the Middle East, one of the busiest that we have seen since the start of the war. Let me ask you about these 5,000-pound penetrator bombs that the U.S. just dropped along the Strait of Hormuz. It's my understanding they hit hardened targets, took out some of Iran's missile sites. What does that mean for us in terms of reopening the strait and controlling it?
Well, it's a start, but reopening the strait is going to require a multi-pronged effort because you have a very narrow waterway with even narrower shipping lanes passing through that waterway. The Iranians have mines, and that strait is so narrow that they can effectively target these huge oil ships passing through with drones that can be launched in short order and strike within minutes of being launched. And those oil container ships, or not container ships, those oil ships are, you know, it's like trying to dance with an elephant in a hallway. Those are very, very narrow straits that they have to pass through. So they don't have a lot of room to maneuver, and they're certainly not armed to defeat drones. Even if they were escorted with U.S. Navy destroyers and frigates who have the capabilities to take those down, the launch window is so tight on those that it's going to be very, very difficult to protect those ships from drones or the mines that the Iranians may well launch.
The visual of a dancing elephant this morning goes a long way, sir. Thank you for that. Colonel, just in regards to the strait, will Iran just keep control of this strait in perpetuity until we tire out back here at home? The White House gets tired of war or high gas prices ahead of midterms. And will this force us to pull out before we would have liked to?
President Trump is a very resolute man. When he made up his mind, he's going to go all in. And I think that he's prepared to do that. I don't think there's going to be any tiring out. Unfortunately, Iran's going to lose a lot of people and a lot of equipment, and there are still other options on the table. But the issue is the president willing to go there? So again, it's going to be, I don't see him backing down. I don't see him tiring out, as you say, and he'll just keep moving forward. It's going to be a tough situation, especially for the oil prices, because, you know, a lot of the Western world gets their oil from that part of the world, and it creates instability in the market. So I'm just hoping we can bring this thing to a close and cooler heads prevail.
Joe, let me go back to you in Dubai, because we just heard from that Iranian a little bit ago saying it's not safe enough for me to go to the streets and directly oppose this regime right now. But we have heard the White House and Benjamin Netanyahu say, eventually we're going to pass the baton to you, right? And you're going to have to rise up in the streets and topple this regime yourself. I'm curious, though, if we're not going to see that happen.
I think it's, look, anything can happen, but I think that would be an incredibly difficult thing to do. I mean, remember, it's been talked about here. This regime is several layers deep, and it is incredibly dangerous, as we've seen just before the war started, when there were tens of thousands of people on the streets every day protesting the regime. The crackdown, the brutal crackdown that we saw, and you had several families mourning deaths of people and innocent civilians that were outside that were protesting. So, we were even back on Capitol Hill asking lawmakers who've been pushing for this whether there is a sort of strategic plan for the United States to at least help facilitate whatever government comes next. And the answer usually for those pro-war senators was no. That has to be something left up to the Iranian people. It's just difficult to see how that happens. Obviously, there have been names floated from people outside in the diaspora, outside of Iran, to come back in, the Shah's son for one. But how that happens, what that looks like, I don't think anybody has clear answers on that just yet.
Yeah, still a lot of questions that remain to be answered. Lieutenant Colonel Berney Flowers, Major General William Enyart, along with Joe Khalil, thank you all so very much for your time. Joe, I'll check back in with you in just a little bit.